So students, today we are going to learn what is an autobiography. All of you know that autobiography means when the writer writes about his life, his experience, his observations, whatever happened in his life, it presented in the form of writing, that is called the autobiography. It means it presented the writer lives and achievement in the form of writing, that is called the autobiography. It is a kind of the successful presentation of the personality. Okay. What is the origin? How it is originated? It is originated in the common human wish. Every person want to expresses his life, and it should be in the recorded form. So the autobiography is the best recorded form in which the writer can reveal his life to the reader. So the writer may give the full account of his life as it is. So that's why the Dr. Johnson, the great critic, considered that the autobiographer is the best form as compared to other form of literature, because it is a kind of truthful presentation of the life of a writer, and it gives the faithful presentation of a life of writer, just like the mirror. Just like the mirror presented the image of the personality as it is, the autobiography also give the faithful presentation of the life of a personality. So that's why it is the truthful knowledge about the personality, and the reader can get this kind of the truthful knowledge from the autobiography. So that's why psychological point of view also, the autobiographer is the autobiography is the greater form of literature as compared to biography itself and the other form of literature. R.L. Stevenson also considered that autobiography is the truer sort of writing, and it is also entertaining. Why? Because autobiography give the faithful evidence also and faithful expression of the personality. So that's why the autobiography is the best form of literature, and it gives the faithful expression of life itself. And then we will now see what is the difference between the subjective and the objective autobiography. All of you know that the autobiography presented the truthful narration of author's lives, and it is presented in the various form. Not only in the autobiography. Autobiography included all kind of the confession form, apology, and account of something also, which is written in the letter also, in the diary also. So that's why autobiography can be considered to all kind of this form also. Just like the Kamala Das presented her life in the form of a poem, and this is also called the autobiography. She confesses her lives, her whatever happened in her life. She shows, she presented in the form of writing, in the form of poem, and this is also included in the autobiography. And somebody apology for whatever happened in his life, that is also called the autobiographical form. And some person give short account or long account of his life also, that is also called the autobiography. And now we will turn toward the basic difference between the subjective autobiography and the objective autobiography. Objective autobiography means when the writer writes about his external life. It means when he writes about his school, his business, his relationship with the other personality, just like the friends and other person, that is called the external life. That is also called the external or objective autobiography. So what is the subjective autobiography? In the subjective autobiography, a writer present his inner life, his inner world of life, just like he presented his emotion, his wishes, his aspiration, his ambition in the form of writing. That is called the subjective autobiography. It means he writes about his own emotion, what is happened, what is going on in his mind, that is presented in the form of writing. That is called the subjective autobiography. There are so many examples of the subjective autobiography and the objective autobiography. In some kind of the writing, we find the both of the autobiography, subjective as well as the objective autobiography. Saint Augustine, who wrote his autobiography, Confession, and the great philosopher, French philosopher Rousseau, whose books title also Confession, in which they wrote their life in the form of writing, that is called also the autobiography. In the 18th century, David Hume, Edward Gibbon, Benjamin Franklin, they wrote their life in the form of writing. Their autobiographies also is also acclaimed as a great autobiography. Sir Osbert Sitwell's left hand and right hand, it also acknowledged as the great piece of autobiography. In the Indian writing, there are so many autobiography are written, just like Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, My Experiment with Truth. It is also considered the best piece of literature, and Pandit Nehru's Rudyard Kipling also wrote their lives in the form of writing. John Evelina's diaries is also considered the autobiographical form, because in which John Evelina noted down his life in the form of diary, that is also called the autobiographical form. Some letters, just like Paston family, Charles Lamb's letters, and John Keats letter. John Keats letters he dedicated to Fanny Brown, that is also called the autobiographical form, because in which he expresses his emotion for the beloved's Fanny Brown, that is also called the autobiographical form. Charles Lamb letters, Paston family letter, they wrote their life in the form of letter, so that is also called the autobiographical form. Now we will turn towards the what are the difficulty faced by the autobiographer during writing the autobiography. This is a great journey, because in which the writer presented his life from the childhood, but they face many difficulty to present their life as it is. Why? Because the first difficulty I will discuss with you. The first difficulty is that they cannot express the bad thing of their life, because they don't want to present their bad personality, because it gives the bad impression to the reader, and those who see this autobiography, they consider that this is not the good personality. So that's why most of the autobiographers avoided the bad thing of their life. So that is considered that piece is considered some limitations, because they do not presented the actual record of their life. So this is also the limitation, what we call the difficulty faced by the autobiographer, and they do not remember the long ago memories as it is. Just like they remember some few things from their childhood, and they just noted down and just they wrote these things, but it is not considered that the faithful image of the writer, because he forgot those things also. So that's why this is also the difficulty faced by the autobiographical. Third difficulty is that he hided some important thing, or he revealed some only few things which is desirable and likable for him also. And it is impossible for the autobiographical to be objective, just like the doctor remain objective to treat the patient. He doesn't involve his emotion. But while writing the autobiography, writer consider that he is writing his personality, so that's why he imposes his emotion, his desire, his wishes, and he consider that his personality should be acknowledged and should be praised by the reader. So that's why he imposes his emotion, so he cannot remain objective or neutral from his autobiography. So that's why the autobiography cannot consider the faithful picture of the personality. This is also difficulty faced by the autobiographer, and he considered that he should not include the bad thing about the other personality, because it becomes offensive for the other person, and they will take some action towards him. So that's why he hided those thing also. So he does not included the offensive things. This is also the difficulty faced by the autobiographer. Herbert Spencer considered that these are the difficulty, but it can be overcome by the great skill, great personality of the autobiographer. But still, there are the great difficulty while writing the autobiographical, because the autobiographer only mentioned the striking thing, and he avoided those unnecessary thing also, and some important and some likable, desirable thing also, and he avoided those things which is not important for him also. So that's why it leads to the falsification. So that's why these are the difficulty faced by the autobiographical while writing the autobiography. So today we have learned the literary genre autobiography, how it is originated, and what is the definition of the autobiography, and what are the basic difference between the subjective and objective autobiography. Then we have seen also some best example of the subjective and objective autobiography, and then we have seen the what are the difficulty faced by the autobiography while writing the autobiography. So today we have seen the concept literary genre autobiography.